So far, the songs I've heard from Neil Young have been super impressive. He has a similar-ish style to Bob Dylan. I know there's even a quote of Bob Dylan joking about the fact that he thought that Neil Young was himself maybe doing a prior recording that he didn't know about. So there's definitely similarities in the voices too. But he's a fantastic writer. That's the thing that really impressed me. But he has an element that I think Dylan doesn't have, and it's that fantastic guitar playing skills, especially on the track Cortez the Killer. I think it showcased it really well. A fantastic tale, beautifully written, but beautifully scored with that guitar, that lead guitar that he had throughout the thing. A brilliant, brilliant track. My pick of the bunch so far I've heard from Neil Young. But this is another track of his that is really famous. It's called Hey Hey My My. There's two versions of it. This is the acoustic version, which is Out of the Blue, and the hard rock style is the Into the Black. Very interesting title name, because Out of the Blue, Into the Black references, I believe so from the research I've looked up, is referring to Vietnam veterans and the fighting that they had to do over there. The idea of out of the blue, which is the sky, and being above the tunnels and into the blackness of the tunnels, which of course the Vietnamese used during the war a lot to fight the Americans. So really interesting inspiration. Looking forward to this one. Here we go, let's check out the track. My My Hey Hey Out of the Blue by Neil Young. Real interesting as the first couple notes, guitar strums are played out, is his style. It sounds very unique, I think it speaks to the mind of Neil Young and who he is as an artist. The fact that he's different even in his writing, that it shows up even in his guitar playing skills. There's something about it, right, that it's kind of, maybe the musicians in the comments will let me know. It sounds off in the best way possible. Like it doesn't fit the normal pattern you'd expect for the strum, right? It sounds like that to me at least. I'll back it up once again. Like right there. There. He delays it ever so slightly. Right there. I love it.
My, hey, hey. Rock and roll is here to stay. It's better to burn out than to fade away.
There's a certain haunting quality to his voice that he could be saying the worst lyrics possible, but because of the way his voice is and how he delivers it, it gives it a certain gravitas. But paired with the fact that he's a fantastic songwriter, the two work so well. Great lyrics and this great haunting quality to the voice. It also sounds like it's live, which I heard he captured it live and decided to keep the live version for the acoustic Out of the Blue version of the track. He just felt like it was the perfect style for this track and the message of the track. He just kept you can hear the audience right in the background.
The blue and into the black. They give you this, but you pay for that. And once you're gone, you can never come back. When you're out of the blue and into the black.
So I read that this was written in a point of Neil Young's life where he felt kind of struggling with the idea of his success and where he is going to be in terms of continuing to put out music and people actually appreciating it. So I guess that's where this idea comes out. It's better to burn out than to fade away, which is quite a profound line, right? The idea that, live young, die fast. That idea that a lot of, I guess, rock stars live out. Kurt Cobain, Jimi Hendrix, Jim Morrison. So I think he's playing on that idea that you become almost an icon when you die young, and you're always remembered because you die at the height of your powers and your fame. I think that's the point, right?
King is gone, but he's not forgotten. This is the story of Johnny Rotten. It's better to burn out than it is to rust. The king is gone, but he's not forgotten.
Okay, so it's really interesting that I just heard the Sex Pistols for the first time really recently, so I know who Johnny Rotten is. So I guess this is a reference to the idea that maybe the view of people have of Johnny Rotten is similar to the one of the King. I think he's referring to Elvis there, right? So like people thought Elvis was a hellraiser when he first started. He had a lot of controversy around him, but he turned out to be, you know, a brilliant kind of milestone in music. So maybe he's trying to like back up Johnny Rotten there, right? Give him some credit. But the funny thing is, he says it's better to burn out than it is to rust. Well, I feel like that happened with Elvis. Elvis rusted. He didn't burn out. You know, those later versions of Elvis when he's a lot older, he's gained weight, the moves don't look quite the same. He became kind of, maybe some would say, a caricature of himself. Maybe that is the point of making the reference of Elvis there.
Hey, hey, my.
The way he delivers that is so good.
Rock and roll can never die. There's more to the picture than meets the eye. Hey, hey, my.
Brilliant track, man. Brilliant track. To speak on the importance of delivery and a person's voice, if it's ever like you need evidence for it, it's this line right here. The way in which he delivers it with that voice, he adds so much meaning to just one line. Like, what does he exactly mean by this? The way I take it is like when you find something extraordinary, you have this moment, hey, my, look at this over here. I think that's how I've taken it, meaning that he's had an epiphany about this thing, that he'd rather burn out than to grow old and have like you know, him rust away, which is then followed up with this idea of rock and roll can never die, which is like an interesting twist of it. Rock and roll can never die, thus we can't let it rust, we can't let it rust out. It needs to burn forever. I think that's the main point. Also, it's interesting to read about John Lennon, who didn't love the message of the track. He thought that he was glorifying people dying too young, like James Dean, like Jim Morrison. And he had this whole thing about how in his head, you should be glorified if you live out and to live until you're old, which is, I think, profounder of a statement because of the fact that he was shot dead. You know, he's a person who didn't want that to happen to himself, which is crazy to think about. But all in all, man, wow, what a track, because how much kind of meaning and like I don't know, the word I think of is like gravitas that the track has from his voice, from that somber, haunting style that he has with the harmonicas and the guitars. They add so much meaning to these, you know, verses that he has. It's better to burn out than to rust, than to fade away. There's quite a thing to take away and think about. Really interesting track. Loved it, man. This is one that I think is definitely going on the playlist. Great track. Thumbs up.